This week's Look at Local Sports sponsored by 315 Local Bakery and Diner, Alexandria Bay.
Alrighty, folks. Hi there. You probably thought you were just going to see us during football season. Guess what? We're sponsored. So we are here to talk a little basketball with you. First off, I want to say hello to 315 Local Bakery and Diner. That's in Alexandria Bay. They are our sponsors for the next few weeks as we concentrate on playoffs for winter sports. You know, it's that time of the year, Robbie.
Yeah, it's almost spring, and the way winter's gone, I can't wait for spring to come.
Yeah, unbelievable. And I tell you what, let's begin with the girls.
Okay.
And we've got the fifth seed Indian River taking on number 12 Chittenango. Your thoughts about the Wolves?
It's going to be tough for the Wolves to repeat. They lost some pretty good players from last year's team. Got a tough matchup against Chittenango, Class A stacked this year. Indian River should win this contest, but the deeper they get, the challenge is going to be a little tougher for them each contest.
Yeah, you know, Jim Whitley, he'll get his team ready.
He will.
He's a fun man, nice guy, and we wish him a lot of luck. Congratulations to Jim with another fine season. Hey, you're old school.
South Jeff and VVS.
VVS,
that's right.
You know, they got that Rob Krone wing on the school that they named it after you.
I think they tore that down years ago.
You know, the Spartans, maybe not as strong as they've been in the past. Your thoughts about Michelle's team?
This should be a good game because these two teams have already met once this season with VVS beating South Jeff. Should be a good contest. South Jeff, though, has to go on the road and face VVS. We'll see how things play out.
That's right, and it'll be at Rob Krone Gym at VVS. The third seed, New Hartford, taking on number 14, Carthage. Your thoughts about the Lady Comets?
Lady Comets had a great year this year. You know, they played very well in the Frontier League, and, you know, I think they should give New Hartford a game in this contest, even though it's going to be a road contest. So it should be another good contest to watch.
Yeah, and by the way, we're going to let you in on a little secret at the point that we're taping this. Do they still say tape in this sort of a thing?
I don't know. I think so. Yeah. Record.
We have just seen the matchups. So
it's almost like the Oscars being revealed.
Yeah. So it's first impression is what we're giving you as we take a look. How about the B, Class B? We've got number 5, Little Falls going up against Lowville. Your thoughts about the Red Raiders?
Coach Cheryl Parker Morrow has done a good job with this team this year, and they've played really good basketball, and I think that's going to carry over into the postseason for them as well.
Now, as good as we think Lowville will do, we'll think General Brown will do even better in the Bs. They're taking on the 14th seed APW, the Lions, seeded number 3.
Yeah, and they have a deep bench. That's the one key for them. A lot of returners, a lot of good players. General Brown looking to make a deep run this year in the Section 3 Class B playoffs, and that all starts as they host APW.
We've got some representation in Class C. Let's take a look first off at a couple of lower seeds, if you will, as far as numbers, higher numbers. That's 15 Beaver River taking on number 18 Fabius Pompey. Your thoughts on the Beavers?
Beaver River going to host that game, and I will tell you what. Last Saturday, when they played in the Class C championship game against Sandy Creek, Beaver River gave Sandy Creek a run for their money and had a chance to win that contest. Only lost 44-40. So Beaver River playing some good team basketball right now. Anything can happen in the postseason.
Anything can happen. As far as the Purple Ghosts of Alexandria, they are seeded number 13. They'll be taking on a tough team in 4th seed Weedsport.
You know, and another thing about that's also one of the longer trips in Section 3, too, traveling out to Weedsport all the way from Alexandria Bay, probably a good 3-hour trip. So, that's going to be a tough one for Alexandria.
A matchup of a couple of Frontier League teams, a 7-10 matchup. The 7th seed Sandy Creek taking on the 10th seed Thousand Islands. They got a Wiley that plays for TI.
They have a lot of Wileys, I think.
First name, Mel.
Mel.
You got to think she's good. Your thoughts about the Vikings?
Now, this game, we always talk about, the games being scheduled because we get these hot off the press. They're scheduled for certain days, certain times.
Right.
So this game, as we speak, scheduled for 2 o'clock on Saturday in Sandy Creek. I will be at that contest. I think this is going to be a good game as well. I thought this was going to be the Frontier League C Division Championship game, but Beaver River knocked off Thousand Islands to make it to the championship game. So I think, TI's been waiting to redeem themselves, traveling to Sandy Creek on Saturday, going to be looking to do that.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
And we'll have highlights of that game.
And yes, you will on the weekend,
That's
either on
Online?
7 News or else online.
There you go.
So you'll be able to watch them no matter what.
On air and online.
The one thing that strikes me about the Class D is the amount of teams. I mean, there are not a lot of teams in Class D. A lot of teams bowed out from playing sectionals this year.
Yeah, and a lot of teams moved up to Class C as well.
Right.
So that was another thing. But as you said, you look at Section 3 Class D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of the 7 teams,
Right.
Frontier League teams.
You got to think that the Frontier League has a very good chance of having a representative in the semis and the finals.
Well, they already have one in the semifinals because Lafargeville gets an automatic bye right to the
They're gonna be
semifinals,
tough.
being the defending champs. Yeah.
And Emmeline Barton leading the Red Knights. Your thoughts about can they do it again? Can Lafargeville make a run all the way through the Ds?
I think they can. Emmeline Barton, Margie Barton, Chloe Gafford at center. They are a very talented team. They have a very deep bench as well. So, and a great coach as well.
Zach
Coach
Steiner.
yeah.
And he'll have his team ready. Also, the 4-5 matchup of 2 Frontier League teams, Copenhagen, the 4th seed taking on number 5 Lime.
Yeah, Copenhagen looking for another shot at Lafargeville because Copenhagen played Lafargeville in the Class D championship last Saturday and lost them. Should be a good contest as well. And then, a couple other games also involving Frontier League teams too.
Yeah, the highest seed for a local team, Immaculate Heart, they're seeded number 2. They'll be taking on Stockbridge Valley.
Yep. And IHC, I mean, what can you say about them? One player who has had an outstanding year and an outstanding career.
Yeah, Abigail Bombard. I mean, she does a tremendous job.
And you know what? She was the most valuable player in the Frontier League D division this year, which was well-deserved for her.
Well-deserved. She's averaging in the upper 20s as far as point total. She was an Athlete of the Week earlier this season. She's an extraordinary player.
And how she goes, IHC goes.
Exactly. She has to have a big game in order for them to move on. And let's see, we've got Sackett's Harbor taking on McGraw. And it always seems, no matter the sport, the Sackett's Harbor and McGraw always seem to meet somewhere along the lines.
Yeah, and this is going to be a Britton game. Coach Jeff Britton and Paige Britton and her sister. I mean,
Peyton.
Peyton, this should be a good contest as well. And speaking of these games, I don't know if you saw or not, but as we said, Lafargeville, an automatic bye to the semifinals. The Section 3 Class D semifinals are going to be played at Case Middle School here in Watertown.
Oh, nice.
So
not far to travel.
Not far to
Very
travel
nice.
at all.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
That's tremendous. Let's move to the boys. And we've got an 8-9 matchup in double A's featuring the 8th seed Watertown taking on the 9th seed Fowler.
Watertown struggled late in the season. They
did.
got off to a great start, and they were playing some great basketball, but then struggled late, didn't make it to the Frontier League championship game. So I think Coach Ed Adams' team's anxious to get on the court, get sectionals underway, and get things back on the right track.
And they're led by the coach's son, Jack, who's done a great job playing this year. It'll be interesting to see. It's always tough when you get up there into the higher classes.
Yeah.
With a team like Watertown, if they have to play some Syracuse schools and stuff like that.
a West Jenny.
Exactly. It's always tough for them.
Yep.
Let's move to, let's see, we're in the A's now.
Yep.
And we've got Syracuse IT, which is the 4th, taking on number 13, Indian River.
Warriors had a
Tim
great
Callahan
year.
teams.
Yeah, Tim Callahan did a great job with this team this year. Indian River had a great season, bounced back from a tough season last year, and they've been playing some pretty good basketball as well. That should be a really good contest.
A team I'm really high on, South Jefferson. And you got the Pittock boys,
Yep.
the coach, the two sons, Bobby Pittock, who's played exceptional, tall kid, can shoot the mid-range. He's looked very good. He's an athlete of the week earlier this year. They're taking on number 12 Camden. You think the Spartans can make a run?
I do, absolutely. And, you talk about the Pittock boys. Bobby Pittock played well on Saturday, but his brother Tommy led the team with 19 points.
That's impressive.
And watching Bobby Pittock play underneath, I mean, he just dominates at both ends of the court. He's a tough matchup offensively, and defensively, he's always on the boards, getting the rebounds, block shots. So, I mean, that's going to be a tough matchup for Camden.
And if I can say something else special about him, he is a sportsman. I mean, he is a class act on the court. Mm-hmm. The opposition, somebody falls, he'll go over. He'll be the first one to stick out his hand.
Or if they get hurt, to check on them.
And I think that a lot of that has to do with his upbringing.
Yep.
Robert has done a great job with those guys, and I actually think the Spartans will go far.
Yeah, I do too.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Let's go to B's. We've got the 4th seed Lowville taking on number 13 Pulaski. The Red Raiders, no strangers to postseason action.
No, and the Red Raiders are starting to play really good basketball right now, and Coach Zach Shambo gets his teams ready every postseason, and several years ago they made a run to the state championship game against Glens Falls. Unfortunately, they faced a kid named Joe Girard in that game.
There you go. Yeah, but I mean, they had a chance. They had a chance to win that game,
and they had a chance to go to multiple state championship games. The only thing that derailed them the following year, COVID-19.
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Lowville. I think that's another team that'll look impressive. 7-10 matchup featuring a Frontier League team. It is the 7th seed Mount Markham taking on the Lions of General Brown. Lions, sort of a 50-50 season for them.
Exactly. It's been an up and down year for them. And, this year especially with the way things were in the Frontier League, you had the AA, A, and B divisions all competing together in one group. So, you had a mix of those teams playing each other, and it was an up-and-down year for General Brown. Yeah. Let's see how they do in the postseason in the B division playoffs.
Yeah. As we move to the C's, the one thing that I do notice are the number of teams, just like the girls. There's a lot of teams in C. When you have a matchup of what is that, 13 against a 20?
Yeah, we've got...
Or 18 and 20, I should say. On Tech Charter against Thousand Islands. Thousand Islands, the 20th seed in Class C.
The 20th seed, Coach Pete Pettit, taking his team on the road to On Tech Charter. Should be a good... And you said 23 teams competing in Class C.
Oh, no, it's
unbelievable.
You're going to have to go through a gauntlet in order to get anywhere near...
Whoever wins Class C is going to be well-tested heading into the States.
They really will be. Frontier League matchup up next. We're going to talk number 15 Sandy Creek, number 18 South Lewis. The Comets are one of those teams that when they're good, they're real good. And then other games, you scratch your head and you're going, wow, that was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and they're led by Hudson Hunt, who scored his 1,000th point earlier this season. And, like we said for a lot of teams, how Hudson Hunt goes, Sandy Creek goes. Yep. So, if he has a good contest, things looking good for the Comets.
Weedsport, Alexandria. Your thoughts about that matchup?
Weedsport and Alexandria, it's a 10 against a 23 seed. And as we said before, and I believe the girls also traveling to Weedsport as well.
That's what has to happen with the boys,
It's a tough trip for the Purple Ghosts, but I'm sure they will put up a good fight against Weedsport.
And speaking of another Frontier League team, number 22, Lafargeville, taking on, it looks like the 11th seed, West Canada Valley.
Coach Jay Schimmel.
Yep. It'll be interesting to see how that team will shake out. They lost some talent to graduation.
Yep.
The coach's son, though, been playing well for him this year.
Yeah, he's a senior this year, and he's been leading the team this year.
Very good. And we move to D's. 8-9 matchup, the 8th seed Copenhagen taking on number 9 Mater Dei.
You know, Copenhagen 9-11 record this year, one of those teams that had an up and down year. Also competing in the CD division in the Frontier League this year. So, you know, they were competing against some teams from Class C this year, and you know,
that might help them. I mean, you go against, you know, usually you think a higher class means stiffer competition, if you will, bigger schools, stuff like that. So maybe that'll help the Golden Knights out.
Yeah, we'll see.
7-10 matchup. New York Mills, the 7th seed, taking on the 10th seed Belleville Henderson.
Belleville Henderson struggled this year as well. They lost some talent last year. They lost the Dodge, Brandon Dodge, I believe, who is now at JCC playing for them. So that was a big loss for them, but making it back to the postseason.
And 6-11 matchup. Remsen taking on Lime.
The Lakers.
The Lakers of Lime. Your thoughts about that matchup?
Lime going on the road to face Remsen. Going to be a tough battle for them. And let's not forget, in Class D, we got to talk, the number 1 seed, Sackett's Harbor.
Very good. It'll be interesting. Yeah, well, Sackett's will be, you know, they're so good each and every year. Usually have a great guard. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Our athlete of the week on Friday will be Marcus Castine. It's somebody that you had a chance to interview. And tell me the interesting story about him, Robbie, because Coach Robbins shared it with you. I mean, he didn't really play organized ball.
Until he came to Sackett's Harbor before his freshman year. He hadn't played organized basketball, and he talks about that in the interview for the Athlete of the Week, how when he knew Marcus had raw talent.
Right.
He knew he was a great player, but couldn't dribble a basketball, would travel, you know, and just refined his skills, worked for 4 years to become the great basketball player that he is now, leading the Patriots. And another interesting story, after I did that interview, well, actually before I did the interview, Coach Joe Vady was looking to talk to Marcus. Marcus came and did the interview with me, then I guess found Coach Vady, and the next day I saw that Marcus Castine has committed to play college basketball at JCC.
There you go. That'll be nice.
Yeah.
That'll be nice.
Good pickup for Coach Vady.
He'll be close to home. You know, the family and friends will be able to follow his exploits with the Cannoneers. Sackett's is always going to be in the mix. Always going to be tough. Jeff Robbins, really one of the best coaches in the area.
And, you know, they played a very tough schedule this year. I don't think, you know, they weren't worried about the wins and losses headed into the postseason. They were worried about getting ready, playing B schools and C schools to get ready for the Class D tournament, and that paid off big dividends, getting the number 1 seed in Section 3 Class D.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens. By the way, I don't know about you. I've worked up an appetite.
Yeah.
That's why I think we should go to 315 local bakery and diner in Alexandria Bay. Our sponsors, they're the ones that got us out of the studio right here onto the microphone to talk to you folks. They're sponsoring this look at our wintertime sports. By the way, just one... while I'm thinking of it, congratulations to Beaver River Volleyball.
Yep, Coach Gene Sundberg.
For another sectional championship, and he's got a juggernaut in Krone.
A second straight year that they've gone undefeated, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so, I mean, to win the sectional championship 2 years in a row, tough enough.
Yeah.
To go undefeated both years, and you know what? They made it interesting again. It was Mount Markham again this year. They won the first 2 games, and then Mount Markham came back and won, and then Beaver River won the 5th set. I believe it was 19-17 to take home the title. So, you know, and we had highlights of that contest on Saturday at 6-11.
Undefeated this year, undefeated last year, 1 loss the year before. That was in the championship game. So he's got a very good program, and you know, Gene's just piling up the victories.
If Mike Koget's watching, who's the athletic director out there right now, Coach Sundberg needs a raise. I mean, to go undefeated 2 straight years, win 2 sectional championships.
In talking with him, he kind of talks, well, I don't know how many more years I got left, you know, and hey, listen, as long as you continue to do what you're doing, I mean, it's, you know, keep Keep doing it.
And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if we see Gene Sundberg after he retires in the Hall of Fame.
He should be.
Yeah, he should be.
He should be. Thank you.
Thank
this
you.
was fun. Like
Yeah.
I say, we just saw what the seedings were. Good luck to the local teams, and we'll be there to make sure that you're covered.
And we got to thank the man who's making this all happen behind the scenes.
Oh man, and it's nice to have him here.
I know.
I'm talking about Mr. Shockley.
He's a man of many talents. He's a musician. He's a food critic.
Yep. Oh, speaking of which, he's going to be judging at the chili cook-off on Saturday at the state office building. So if you really want to see what he looks like in person, how good looking he is,
Get his autograph.
get
a
his
picture,
autograph
yeah.
just to make sure he can write it. You'll be able to see him there at the state office building on Saturday.
There you go.
Yeah. So, Les, thank you very much for your work. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. And by the way, Section 10, we're not ignoring you. As we get into the meat of the playoffs, we're going to be checking out what's happening in St. Lawrence County.